Emily from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, March 27th. So today we have the moon in Gemini again here all day. Of course, we are just starting to see the sliver of brightness from the moon in our night sky, which means that we are growing in illumination. We are growing in clarity. We are growing in curiosity. And of course, the moon in Gemini supports all of those things. We are very stimulated in our mental plane. Again, a lot of questions that we're looking for answers on, a lot of confusion that we're looking to gain clarity on. And the inquisitiveness of the moon in Gemini is going to help us do just that. There are 11 different aspects here today. 9 of them involve the moon. The moon is going to make an interaction with Pluto. Pluto being the great transformer himself, fresh into this Aquarian energy, a fixed air sign. We are definitely trying to fixate on the bigger, broader picture, on the vision, on the dream, on the project, on the goal, and seeing where it is that we can break those pieces down into smaller chunks, manageable pieces, achievable steps, if you will. What I love is that the moon in Gemini provides us with the logic, with the practicality, with the strategy, with the calculating type of steps needed in order to actually piece together what it is that we have control over in the here and now, and what it is that we can do in the here and now in order to start building towards the greater, grander vision that we are trying to put together and manifest. The moon will sextile with Chiron, the wounded healer, which does suggest that there is a shift in our emotions, a shift in our mental plane, where there is some growth, there is some healing, where it is that we're more open now to be better, to really want to improve, and really kind of cut the crap and cut the cord with some of the fears and doubts and insecurities that may be holding us back. The moon sextiles with Mercury, its ruler. Mercury, of course, rules over the Gemini energy that the moon is in, but Mercury is in this Aries energy. So this is essentially where our heart space, the moon, and our head space, Mercury, are coming together and trying to get on the same page. The Mercury energy, being an Aries energy, a fire sign, is very quick-witted, not so much looking back to the past, very much oriented to the path moving forward. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of excitement, a lot of sparks really kind of coming to the surface, showing us where it is that we're excited, where it is that we have inspiration and passion kind of boiling up again. Again, now that Mars is in Cancer energy and out of this Gemini energy of the mental battlefield, we are definitely sorting things out, really listening to our gut, to our intuition on what it is that we're inspired to pursue from here. This mashup between the moon and Mercury definitely showing us where it is that we are getting fired up, where it is that we are allowing the spark to really kind of be created. And of course, the moon in Gemini really sorting through the finer details on what this means for us, what it is that we need to do, what it is that we have to kind of articulate within ourselves to express outwardly if we need other people on the same page as us. Realistically, we're just fanning the flames right now, really stoking the fire, if you will, of some of the ideas that we've been stalled out upon when, of course, Mars was in that Gemini energy and had us on the fence with pretty much everything. The moon will make an interaction with Uranus. Uranus, of course, the great awakener. He likes to shake us up. We have to expect the unexpected in his particular energy. And the moon interacting with Uranus right now is a sudden shift in perspective on where it is that, of course, we are actively trying to analyze where changes need to be made. And because Uranus is in this Taurus energy, we're grounded out. We're kind of looking at our physical realms, our routines, our relationships, our money matters, our physical environment, for where it is that, you know what, we need to kind of spice things up. We need to do things differently. We need to improve. We need to be better. We need to stabilize where it is that we're not feeling so safe, so secure, so stable in our physical realm. Mercury will then interact with Uranus. So Mercury is the lower level of our intellect, and Uranus energy is the highest level of our intellect. We are connected to the higher realms of intelligence through the Uranian energy. This is where we get downloaded with aha moments, with revelations, with epiphanies, with ideas, with inspiration. And then we can drop it down into the lower level intellect that Mercury rules over in order for us to formulate a plan on how it is that we're going to bring it to life. What I like about this is that there is a meshing, if you will, of some observations that, of course, we get from this Uranian energy, seeing the big picture, and then we're able to kind of channel it down, minimize it, if you will, refine it, if you will, under the mercurial influence, which, of course, in this Aries energy is all fired up, sparked up, ready to go, to take action, to make moves, to do what is necessary in order to start putting the puzzle pieces together in the here and now that we're hoping will eventually reveal the greater, grander picture on what it is that we are going to manifest, what it is that we're going to change, what it is that we're going to bring to life. The moon will sextile with Jupiter. This is a beautiful interaction. Jupiter, of course, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings. He is also our spiritual wisdom. He also illuminates and really magnifies whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling. Now, he is in Aries energy as well, very eager to kind of create new opportunities. And of course, we're starting with the recreation of our image, our ego, our avatar. We are going through a rebranding, if you will, understanding that new opportunities are going to require us to be a new version of ourselves. What I like about this interaction is that Jupiter brings all the hype. He brings optimism, he brings confidence, and where the moon is in Gemini, we are emotionally and mentally stimulated, really trying to formulate a plan around these new ideas, these new objectives, these new goals. And Jupiter is here for it, really kind of, I'm going to say, fanning the flames right now, really encouraging us to think big, to dream big, to really kind of align with the kind of opportunities that we feel we are growing through and that we can essentially flip and turn into growth, expansion, and abundance. The moon will then make a positive interaction with the sun. This is an illumination, if you will, on where it is that we're bridging the gap from the past to the future. What we're left with is the present moment in the here and now, where we're realizing what in our mental plane, our mental narrative, we have to let go of in order for us to truly embrace the passion, the fire, the flames that the sun in Aries is trying to kind of get going within us. Why, you may ask? Well, because we cannot be connected to the past. We especially can't have an unsupportive old programming, old narrative holding us back from really setting our sights on what it is that we want to accomplish from here. And so this harmonization between the moon, which is our emotions and our unconscious self, and the sun, our life force energy, and essentially our ego, where it is that we need to pour our time and energy into, it is showing us where it is that there is a balance taking place now, where there is inspiration and stimulation and motivation, if you will, to get all fired up, to get excited, to identify what it is that we want, need, and desire, and of course support that with some logical, practical planning. The moon will semi-square the true node, which is not the nicest type of interaction. There is a block here. We are trying to think on how it is that we're moving forward. Of course, that true node is our soul path, our destiny point, the direction that we need to be on to reach our soul's mission, our soul's potential, our soul's purpose. And right now, because this is a semi-square and there's a little bit of a tension and a conflict, again, this is like classic Gemini energy. We're getting stuck between the two very different extreme choices, options, decisions. We tend to overthink what it is that we are feeling. And because of that, we may be questioning what these steps forward actually look like. And so instead of growth and healing and orientation and alignment, we're actually creating mental and emotional blockages for us by overanalyzing everything and kind of, I'm going to say, speaking a little bit of fear into the dreams that we're trying to conjure up and actually have. Now, Mercury is going to semi-square Saturn. This is not a good vibe. First of all, Saturn in a negative aspect, typically speaking, brings us a little bit of a negative Nancy narrative. We're a little bit down on ourselves. We're very focused on roles, responsibility, accountability. Of course, Saturn being the Lord of Karma, ruling over structures and foundations, and this Pisces energy is trying to kind of eliminate some of the delusion, the lies that we tell ourselves that we have, if you will. Now, Mercury, ruler of the mental plane over here in this Aries energy, very straightforward, very direct, very fiery in our thoughts, in our ideas, and in our communications. But the problem here is that, first of all, The negative narrative isn't helping anything. Secondly, we're highly critical and super judgmental, especially on ourselves. Thirdly, there feels like there's this, I'm going to say, problematic situation that might come up that's going to bug us and irritate us because it feels like we have to kind of readdress an issue or rework an issue or redo an action or an activity that we thought we were done with. Whatever it is and however it manifests, it's frustrating because we thought we were done with it. And then we get down on ourselves for not doing it good enough, or, that's when the critical, judgmental Nancy narrative kind of kicks in, and we're having a problem being positive, being optimistic, and just that energy that we just had between the moon sextiling Jupiter and really hyping us up just feels like we're deflated. It feels like somebody literally popped our bubble, if you will. Now we're sinking very low in our mental plane and in our focus and in our perspective and our understanding. And of course, this is going to create a little bit of a cluster F in our communication style, because of course, when we're down on ourselves and we're not feeling so hot and we're tearing ourselves a new one, we tend to project that not so nice narrative on other people, and therefore people are projecting that narrative on us. And you best believe we are super hypersensitive to criticism coming from other people. We don't mind beating ourselves up, but we're sure as hell not going to stand for other people beating us up. And so there is this friction. There is this conflict. Now, the moon, shortly thereafter, will go ahead and make a positive interaction with Pluto. So Pluto, being the god of the underworld, really showing us where it is that the darkest parts of us are alive in order for us to show it the light, to show it a new perspective, to turn that pain into power, turn that darkness into light, because of course, he is essentially the great transformer himself. So we get some air-on-air action here between the moon and Pluto, because of course the moon in Gemini energy is an air sign. Pluto in Aquarius energy now, an air sign. So we have this harmonization of our intellect, of our mental plane. What I love about this is that Pluto tends to do a deep dive in our psyche and really kind of trigger and activate the parts of our unconscious programming that are essentially preventing us from moving forward and stepping into a place of empowerment. Now, coming out of this Mercury semi-square Saturn energy where we just kind of fell apart and broke ourselves down and we're a little bit cluster F'd in our mental plane and in our focus, the moon interacting with Pluto in this way does kind of suggest that that funk revealed to us where it is that the old programming, the negative narrative, the negative Nancy, the Betty the Bully narrative running in our unconscious programming, where we're illuminated to where we have to cut that foolishness out. And when we kind of realize, oh my goodness, this is my ego talking, because this is fear-based, this is, doubts and insecurities and feeling not good enough. This can't be my higher self. This can't be my soul self. This has to be my ego self. In that realization, you stand in a place of empowerment by realizing that you are not this voice, that this is the voice of the unconscious conditioning that you've learned in your earlier years. And then in this realization, you stand in your power to realize that you can overwrite this script. You can change this narrative. And there is some sort of development in doing that, because this is a positive interaction between our heart space, our emotions, our unconscious programming, and of course, the god of the underworld, who is here to unearth the deep seeds of darkness in order for us to show it the light so that something can grow out of the pain, out of the trauma, out of that negative ass narrative. Now, we're going to end the day off with a not nice aspect between the moon and Neptune. So they're going to square each other. And anytime we have, energy squaring each other, it means that they're getting into the boxing ring and they're trying to fight it out. So emotionally speaking, we're having a hard time with Mr. Neptune, because he, of course, represents our dreams, our creativity, our inspiration, our healing, our soul contracts. And we are in the Gemini energy, which is very ego-based. It's where we're trying to kind of build our identity and formulate thoughts and opinions. And therefore, we are dominant in tapping into the ego narrative and not as strong tapping into the intuitive or soul narrative. So there is a little bit of a cluster F here between these two. Because the Neptune energy, where it is being negatively aspected, we're tapping into escapism. We don't want to deal with life. We don't want to deal with certain things. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to sort it out. We're dealing with wanting to numb and disassociate from our current reality and live in la la land. Well, we're never going to be able to make anything out of our physical realm, especially address our problems, if we aren't willing to kind of deal with them. And in this Neptune energy, there is this high volume of just not wanting to deal with the difficulties, not wanting to have confrontations, not wanting to really address where this darkness is coming from. And so, we just had this profound revelation, this epiphany, this aha moment where the layers of our unconscious programming were being illuminated between the moon and Pluto. And now, just as we took that realization and actually stood in a place of empowerment, recognizing where it is that we can flip the script at any point, now the moon is going to be kind of on one as we battle it out with our higher selves, our intuition. Who are we going to listen to? Well, I would dare to say that we will fall victim to the egoic part of this equation. The moon being in Gemini, I think, is a little bit more dominant than Neptune being in Pisces at this particular point in time, just because the confusion is at an all-time high, and Neptune adds to that confusion, adds to the wish-washiness, adds to the vagueness, adds to the disconnect that's going on within us. And so I would say that our egos are definitely more in power than our higher self is in this particular aspect. So again, be very careful of your narrative and what it is that you are speaking on and believing when that negative narrative hits and when your ego tries to tear yourself down.